Santa Claus is very good to me this year. My Redcat Ascent18. I'm in the process of trying to get an old Parma 50s panel truck mounted. Which I was going to use the stock body mounts because this body is the exact same length front to back. So I can use the factory mounts. Redcat, I'm not sure what's going on, but you can't order the factory mounts. They're out of stock. They're actually out of stock on a few items, with no idea when they might be back in stock. Kind of bummed about that, just because what's it been out a year or so, and already running low on parts. I have some other cars that you can no longer get parts for that kind of, I'm just hoping this is temporary. Anyway, got some new wheels, Endura, they're 41 grams each, they're brass, pretty stoked on those. Tires, I run these Endura mud crawler, pretty good tire. I mean, they're obviously not the best, but they're $11. I've had pretty good luck with them. I'm not sure what I'm doing on the stock foams. I usually star cut, but as this truck's a little heavier, I'm questioning losing the side hill. So I may try doing the whole thing where you heat up acid brush and put holes in it to soften them a little bit. But the thing I'm most excited about is the transmission. It's a replacement transmission, 24-to-1, just to slow down the truck 45%. I got the motor with it. I'm not sure about the motor, but this is going to be awesome. Currently I run the truck, or have the transmitter program for beginner mode. Slows it way down because in stock form you hit reverse and this thing just launches. Right now I have 11% underdrive in the rear. I'm hoping this low geared transmission really gives me what I expect out of a crawler as far as speed and control. And we got some steel drive lines from Muse and some steel links, full set from Muse. And portal covers, the inner and the outer, and may order like the brass diff cover and use that in the rear. I'm pretty stoked. Parts. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Got the tranny. It's a 24-to-1 tranny, Endura motor. It says the stock motor is not compatible, but I didn't take the time to look at the thread pattern, or if it's just the difference in the pinion, the motor pinion. And against my better judgment, I got some high clearance links, which I didn't really think they were needed, and all they do on this car is just expose the driveline more. They're the lowest part between the skid and the pumpkin on the axle and wherever the wheel starts, especially in the back. You're going to be riding on the driveline. The front's not as bad. It's more exposed at a steeper angle, but the distance between where the tires would be and the skid. Anyway, the point is, I noticed on some of them, the links, like even Redcat ones, they're the flat wide type, which I think might be better. There's, in my mind, no reason to be running high clearance on this Redcat. Ascent18. So I am I'm going to actually is flip these rear links, the bent end, and I tried both ways, the bent end at the skid plate and the bent end at the axle. The bent end at the axle just exposes more of this driveline universal. But anyway, I'm going to flip these around, but I'm going to put it in upside down so this link comes down and then up, just to protect this universal joint. Don't like how it's the lowest part hanging down. You're riding on rock and stuff. I mean, I've seen in real life rigs land on the driveline and be able to spin themselves off, but I've also seen it more than that, where they landed on the driveline and just toggled it. The steel driveline replacements I got are quite a bit bigger around, so it's kind of exaggerated. I don't know on the front. I don't think it's as critical, even though it's more exposed. Anyway, aftermarket. Wiring's a mess. I added rock lights, front and rear, centered, and then I added on the battery lead from the receiver, I spliced in a wire that goes to a switch that I can get to turn the battery off, because on this you have to get to this little switch and it's kind of a pain to get it off. You still have to get to it to turn it on. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to show. I flipped this upside down. Which fully protects the driveline. I only did the one side, but you can see how exposed the driveline is versus this side. It does hang down, but really not any more than the factory one. If you drew a straight line about here to here is lower, and I'm going to call that okay. This is the way I'm running it. Ideally, if I was going to make links, I would do this, but make this bend a little bit steeper so it goes up parallel to the driveline, and then another bend back down. That would be ideal. Anyway, and to change these links, the back shocks are almost impossible to get off. I even drilled the ball so I can get in there with a wrench to unscrew it, but I can get it off unscrewing this, but I can't get it back on past this extended part of the axle. So what I did was I took this end off, unscrewed the end from the rod, and unscrewed the rod from this end, and just flipped it and screwed it back together on the truck, so I didn't have to mess with these shock balls. Anyway, probably not for everybody because they want all the clearance, but clearance doesn't matter if you're breaking drive lines. Okay, so I mounted them upside down with the bend going down to hang down lower than the driveline, and then straight up. but it put the end of the driveline, I mean, it was about even with the skid plate, and then it went back up. So in my infinite wisdom, I attempted to double bend it so that it goes up from the skid plate semi-parallel to the driveline, and then stuck it in the bias, used pair of pliers and just tweaked it, and it really didn't shorten it, which I'm kind of course there's not that much of a bend. Trick now is going to match it. And then I'm going to do the front. So let's see if I can duplicate this. I put another bend in the link, mounted it upside down so that the bend in is pointing down, and then put another bend pretty much matching this bend so that the main part of the link matches the profile of the driveline. It sits maybe a 1/16 of an inch below, so the driveline will be protected. I have the upper links mounted into the top holes just to get more clearance, but I'm really not liking, since I added the weights to the car, when the vehicle lands on the skid plate, it kind of doesn't want to get off, just so much weight pressing down on it. By removing the two screws that go into the transmission mount or skid plate, you can push this up so it's flush with the frame. It seems like I might have mentioned this before, but raising the motor up, what is that, 3/16 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, will be less of an issue in my mind than this skid plate constantly getting hung up. All of the aftermarket ones I've seen are pretty much duplicate the stock skid plate. I don't like the way the links hang down, so remove these two screws. You can push the whole skid plate and motor up. I'm going to look to see if there's another way to add at least one screw going through this into this transmission mount. I don't like the idea of this whole assembly being held in by the link screws. Some modification required. I'm also mounting skid side, what do you call these, boat skids from the Ascent18 Scout body. They come out quite a bit further. I'm going to actually end up cutting this mount so they come straight out, because these, let's see, does this show? They kind of mount at an angle for the Scout body. So I'm going to just completely cut this off and screw these to these. I'm running a Parma 50s body, and it's quite a bit wider. Skids, so to protect the body. But yeah, I mean, it works great with all the weight and tires and wheels and whatnot. The high clearance link on the Redcat are pretty much, I don't know, you give you more clearance, but your driveline is exposed. That to me is just going to be a serious issue. Plus the aftermarket drivelines I got are bigger around, so just exaggerates the issue. Okay, I got the skid plate motor raised. This is my normal ride height. I'm at about half travel on the shocks. I removed the bottom spring cups on the shocks so it sits lower. And this is if the springs were pull upward. A lot more clearance. Camera shut off. With this up, the top and bottom links under full articulation, left to right, they just kiss each other. Doesn't really show. It doesn't stop the travel, but I really need to rebend this to protect the driveline anyway. And done. Got the front links rebent, which solved the interference between the top and bottom. It's hard to get a profile. Anyway, the links are pretty much even with the driveline. Front and rear. Got the battery mounted. I got the body, front body, factory going through the grill, but I put these are the lights that were on top of my deadbolt that I had cut off. I sanded them flat and used longer screws to go through the body and the front mount, so they look like off-road lights or something. I'm still going to put headlights in this. And the back mount with my groovy little gas can. I drilled these for LEDs, or taillights. The front, I'm going to do like I did on my AX24. Just mask off the back side and glue a LED and holder inside. And this came with stickers for the headlights and all the windows. And cut the masking. I'm going to add a split like a factory 50/50 Chevy panel truck. And on the back, this Parma body came as like a carryall that had the one big door in the back. And I cut the masking for the windows to make two. And I'll probably try to draw a line so it looks like a van. And it's just finding some paint. Anyway, that's my Ascent 18. I need to go see how she drives now. With this body at least. That and try to tidy up the wires. These the Scout Ascent 18, these little rock sliders on the sides. They worked out well for this body. And the stock body, once I get some factory mounts, will go back on here quite easily. This body is probably for me driving it on our course, and I'll use the stock body when I'm just outside trashing. Anyway, that's all for this. Okay, this is my new improved Ascent 18. Oh, this slow crawl, this thing's crazy. A little noisier. I got some finger rub someplace. Where is that? It's on this side.
see it. Oh, there it is. This is front. Huh. I guess I was doing it too. Yeah. Both front corners are having a little more trimming. Obviously, I'm out of frame. That's pretty bad. Awesome. My new favorite rig. Where is it? Doesn't. Anyway. That's some Redcat. So I picked this Redcat up for $99, which is a steal. And a bunch of free mods, and then tires, wheels, a new transmission, links, the brass, knuckles, and the body. I'm not counting the body though. Anyway, stoked.